What's up and welcome. This is my half-covered 95 Celica GT4, and as you can see, we're running some stock wheels. And now there's nothing wrong with running stock wheels, but on this car, I wanted to do something a little bit different. They do look good, but they are kind of nasty and they do have road rash. And today, that's gonna change because I just bought some badass wheels for this car, and I don't know how else to just reveal to you guys and show you, but these are the wheels that we bought in this picture shown. So badass, check them out, boys. It's gonna be a bad. But in all seriousness, these are the wheels that we bought for the Celica. These are Racing Hart CP-035Rs, and they're absolutely beautiful. And now, before I talk about the specs of these things, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Ken1G for finding these, sending me them, and giving me more information about them. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have got these, and I wouldn't have them right here in front of me. So thank you to Ken. Go check him out on Instagram. He has a ton of sweet cars. So now, like I said, these are Racing Hart CP-035Rs. They are 18 by 8.5 with 38 millimeters of offset. I've already mocked them up to the car, and they look pretty good. Obviously, we'll have to adjust our ride height and possibly roll fenders, but we're gonna do everything we need to do to make our fitment look absolutely amazing and get it to where I want it to be. And today, we're gonna get some tires on these things. We're gonna mock them up once again, adjust our ride height, and have a good day today. Hope you guys enjoy it. These things are so dope. They're super light too, which is awesome. Got these bad boys loaded up. Gonna put some towels between them and we'll take them to the tire shop. Oh man, we're at the spot. Honestly, this is like trusting your kids with like some random person. Huh? Well, actually, probably not. Got the kids dropped off at school. Well, it's Saturday, but anyway, they said it'd be about 45 minutes, so we're gonna wait for the text and hopefully the wheels come out real nice. I told them to be really careful with them, obviously. Got to get the reassurance, but I fully trust these people, so I think we should be good. We'll see the text in 45 minutes. Well, I just sat down to edit, and I already got the text. It's literally been like 15 minutes, so we're gonna go get the wheels. Alrighty guys, we're back here at the shop with the wheels and tires. Looks absolutely amazing. Already inspected them. Obviously there's no scratches or anything. Just that greasy stuff that they use to put on the tires. But anyway, we went with the Falcon Azenis FK 510s. And I've heard good things about them. I wanted to try them out. And now the reason why I went with these is because you can't beat them for the price. They've gotten really good reviews from what I've seen. And also, if I ever need to drive in the rain, these will still have grip, unlike some other tires. So why not try them out on this? And now the size we went with is a 225/40/18, obviously, because these are 18-inch wheels. And like I might have said in the past, I did look at Enkei RPF 1RSs, and now those have kind of like a similar spoke style, as well as kind of the protruded lip on the outside. But those only came in silver, which would have been nice on this, or black. And now I love how these are white with chrome. These are just nice. And now if I got the Enkeis, there would be an issue. These are 5x100 as the car bolt pattern is. The Enkeis only came in 5x114.3, so I'd have to do a hub conversion. Don't really want to do that. Just want to stay true to the 5x100. Also, one more cool thing about these tires is obviously you have your outside, but the tread of the tires, they are symmetrical, so it doesn't matter if you have them left or right. Just have to make sure that this is on the outside, obviously. And also to complement these wheels, we got ourselves some Muteki short, stubby, chrome lug nuts. These are M12 by 1.5 for my Celica owners. And honestly, these will give a nice accent and they will match our outer lip because obviously chrome lip, chrome lug nuts, it's gonna look good. At this point, what I think we're gonna do is just kind of do a once over on the wheels, clean them off, and start mocking them up to the car, start adjusting things and seeing what we need to make our ride height and fitment mint. All right, I got the wheels all cleaned up and I have the front and the rear wheels off. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and see what the wheel looks like with the spacer on. And then here on the other side, I'm gonna see what it looks like with the spacer off. And then at that point, we'll see what it looks like in between the two. I think on that side, it's gonna be too much. I think on this side, it's gonna be too little. So I guess we'll see what happens. And as for the front, I do have the wheel and spacer off. The spacer is not gonna work with these wheels because these OEM studs go past the spacer and they're just gonna hit the mounting surface of the wheel. Since we're already here, I guess we'll just put it on this and see what it looks like. But here we go, got the wheel. The wheel is very light. We're gonna carefully put it on. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always afraid to put on wheels and mess them up. I mean, these already kind of have a couple nicks because these are used, and I don't think it's even possible to find not used wheels like this, just because they're already so rare. We cracked open our Luteki lug nuts, and we're gonna be using these just to get a good idea of what this is actually gonna look like when it's all finished. Now getting a little bit closer, you guys can see that this wheel does not have a hubcap, never came with hubcaps, nor did they produce any. So you can see our axle nut and axle, I guess, thread is just absolutely poking out. I mean, this is the end of it and the wheel is down here. We're gonna have to do something about that. I'm thinking we'll just have to make some kind of custom hubcap or find something that fits this. But anyway, as it goes for fitment, this thing is looking pretty flush. Don't mind the paint, but this thing is looking very much so flush. And now once we do get some pressure on it and get on the ground, I'm sure it's gonna tuck a little bit more because this is obviously not a ride height. It's gonna be way tucked in there, and we'll see what that looks like too. And before we get it on the ground, let's put the rear wheel on with the spacer, see what that looks like. Alrighty, y'all, gonna put the rear wheel on with the spacer. I feel like it's gonna be an absolute monster truck. But let's see what happens. Put this bad boy on and start to throw these boys on. All right, rear fitment with the spacer. Let's see what it looks like. And it's gonna monster truck. Oof, yikes. Yeah, it's poking for sure. That is poking. You can see the front, big difference. Yeah, if we come up here again, you can see the rear. Front compared to rear, that's pretty insane. Oh yeah, that is a monster truck, my friends. I guess we could go see what it looks like on the other side without the spacer. It's already rubbing on the coilover. We're gonna need spacers. Bruh. Over here on the rear, let's see what it looks like. It is way tucked in. It is so tucked. Yep. Anyway, we're gonna need a spacer. We're gonna need a spacer anyway, just because you could see we're hitting our coilovers, so that's a lot of fun. I'm thinking maybe we can even get like maybe like a 10 to 15 mil spacer. I don't know. We're gonna have to do more mocking up, measuring, and math. And now to get your fitment absolutely perfect the first time, you should do the math before you buy the wheels. Obviously, I just liked the style of the wheels. I knew it was the same bolt pattern. I knew they would fit somewhat. So this is why we're doing what we're doing currently. But now we're gonna battle with a spacer, which is fine. And we're gonna get this thing right. And now what I'm gonna do is lower this thing on our funny wooden blocks, and we're gonna see what it looks like when the car is fully down on the ground. Honestly, the front is looking pretty good. I'm gonna have to test to see if we have any rubbing when I turn, but we do have about a finger in there. I'm not sure if I really wanna go with the completely tucked and slammed look. I might raise it a little bit. We'll see what I could do with a spacer, see if I can put maybe even like a 5 mil spacer on the front. And as for the rear, it looks like we are, holy crap, monster trucking pretty good. I mean, that's ridiculous. This looks absolutely ridiculous, dude. We are gonna have to get rid of that spacer and go with something a little bit lighter. Yeah, it's not looking, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. Some people do like this look, but I personally want to get it out a little bit more. And as for the no spacer side, it's very much so tucked. I definitely want to get it out a little bit more because you can see, we have a lot of room down in here. Kind of want to get it out a little bit more. So looks like we know what kind of in between we have to do. I'm gonna do some measuring and we'll see what kind of spacers we're gonna get. I'm gonna call it there for tonight, but I'm gonna do some measuring, then come back with some spacers and have a better idea of what we can do. All right guys, it's a different day and I went ahead and designed and 3D printed these spacers just so I'm not dropping $60 to $80 on spacers that aren't gonna fit and I'm gonna end up returning. So we have 10, 15, and 20 millimeter spacers. I did test out 10 and 15 on the rear. 10 is too tucked, 15 is honestly just right, but I didn't get a good look at it because the OEM wheel studs are too short. And so at that point, I have to get longer wheel studs and I'm almost positive that I can get some here in the US. Hopefully I can. If not, that would suck, but I'll figure it out anyway. So at this point, I'm gonna do more measuring. I'm gonna see what length wheel studs we need for the rear. And honestly, probably gonna get some for the front because those are just grabbing in the front. Just doing more measuring, gonna get the right size wheel studs so we can actually see what we're working with and so that the lug nuts have more to grab onto as well. So I guess we'll do more measuring, we're gonna come back.
One eternity later.
Man, you guys are not gonna believe this. Well, 3 weeks later, here we are. I ordered the ARP extended wheel studs and they came in, right? Well, we only got half of what came in and nobody knows where the other half is. I guess the wholesale warehouse didn't ship them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and get a full refund, at least a refund for the missing pieces. Then we're gonna go buy some more of these from somebody else that actually has them in stock. And even to take 3 weeks for these to ship, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, if you look behind me, this lift, this didn't take 3 weeks to come in. That's ridiculous. But I know that this pain and suffering is going to totally pay off when it comes to our fitment. I know it's going to be mint when we're done, but it'll pay off and I can look back and laugh at this stuff. I appreciate you guys sticking around, and for you it's going to be a couple seconds. For me it's going to be probably a long while. But anyway, here we go. Alrighty guys, we finally got our wheel studs from ARP, from the supplier, whoever. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a long time. I got the other 2 sets right here, 2 sets that were supposed to come in. We ended up going with someone else. And in the meantime, we did end up putting PUR 15 on our hubs. So this one's the front, obviously. We got PUR 15 on the front, and we also installed the extended wheel studs as well as the rear. So here we are with the hub and the wheel studs on this side. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing for the other side, put the wheel studs on, get PUR 15 on the hub so it doesn't rust. And then at that point, we can start testing our fitment, adjusting stuff, and see what we got. And honestly, it feels so good to be back and make some progress on this thing. I did powder coat some things. I powder coated the rotor hats. You probably have seen that in my YouTube shorts sometime. By this time you have. It feels good to be back and actually make some progress on this thing. We're gonna keep it going. All right, so we have this all disassembled, got our rotors off. What we're gonna do to get the studs out is put a bad nut, a bad lug nut, whatever, onto one of the studs. Grab our hammer, just kind of pound it out. Just like that. Got one of them out. Gonna repeat, obviously, and should be good to go. What I'm gonna do next is switch these Torx bits to hex heads, just because it's a lot easier to get out. These like to strip easily, especially being heated up and cooled down constantly, as well as just being a little bit corroded under here. But I'm gonna switch those out. And then after that, I'm gonna clean this up, take a wire wheel to it, get it to bare metal, put PUR 15 on it, probably put the studs on, then put PUR 15 on it, and then we should be good. All right, so I did my changes off camera. I have the hub down to bare metal and all cleaned up. And now at this point, we put in the stud, kind of just sneak it in there. And I'm using this little tool. It's I guess a stud, wheel stud tool, where you put this end on the stud, you take a bad lug nut again, you fasten it on. Then at this point, you grab your favorite impact. Obviously mine will be the Milwaukee, and you hammer down on this thing until it stops hammering down. And then from there, your wheel stud is installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all 5 of these on. I'm going to repeat the exact same process in the rear, and then from there, we can start fitting stuff on. Alrighty, y'all, we have our POR15 on our hub. We have the studs installed. We have our rotors on with powder-coated hats. You've probably seen that on my shorts. I have the brake caliper mocked up with no brakes in it. Obviously, we don't need that right now. We're gonna take these apart anyway, make them all pretty and all that good stuff. But we had the front done. The rear did the exact same thing. The hub has POR15. I just put the handbrake shoes on, brand new. And then I'm gonna go ahead and adjust that stuff, get the rotor on, caliper, wheel, spacer, whatever we gotta do. Then we're gonna start adjusting our suspension. Alrighty guys, we're pretty much wrapped up and good to put on our test spacers, and we might even have these CNC'd, but these were custom made in CAD, 25 millimeter here. We do still have to put on the little axle nut lock, but we'll do that later. But anyway, we have this nicely designed spacers to where this outer diameter matches the diameter of our rotor hat, and then the inner diameter is pretty much good and hub centric on our OEM hub. And as for the front, we have the same exact deal, except this is going to be a 10 millimeter spacer. Boom. Looks pretty awesome. I probably will have these CNC'd or something like that. Might just get some Amazon ones just for the time being that are hub centric to this. We'll have to see how much that is and when they come in. But for now, this is what we're running just for test purposes. This will not be run on the street, obviously. That would just be idiotic. But here we are. Let's get some wheels on. All right, let's get some wheels on and see what they look like. I have been experimenting behind the scenes with what kind of size spacer we're gonna go with. But anyway, I'm gonna get this on and I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like. And honestly, I think it's pretty much perfect in my opinion. This is what I want, and pretty excited about it. All right, now it's time to get this thing on the ground for the second time, first time, I don't know. First time with this spacer. Let's see what it looks like. This thing is sitting actually pretty good. This is honestly like exactly what I was picturing and exactly how I want it. But I think what we will do is maybe raise this just a tad. Maybe we'll just leave it, I don't know. But got about a finger in there. It's not too bad. And then the front, I know we'll have to raise because we're pretty much rubbing already. I mean, can't even get the pinky in there, just barely. But I'll definitely raise the front. The rear actually really looks good. And here's the other side. And now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and raise this guy a little bit. And additionally, I might even bring this thing down a little bit. Haven't really thought about it, but it's very close to rubbing at this point. I might just stiffen up the suspension at the back. Might raise this or lower it a tiny bit, but the front, for how baller it looks, I'm gonna have to raise it just a little bit. I have already kind of tweaked this side, so at this point we can fit one finger under there. I have the right measurement using a caliper on our collar for our coilovers. So what we're gonna do is gonna raise the other side, kind of match it with this one. And then as for the rear over here, that's looking actually pretty awesome. So actually might bring that down a little bit too. But at this point, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna adjust the suspension, get it back on the ground. All right, here on this side, from collar to collar, we are at roughly 1.5 inches in between each other. And I think that's the height that we're gonna go with. Probably gonna be tweaking it as the car drives and whatnot, get it back on the lift down the road when spring comes. But we're gonna adjust the other side and then go on the rear. Here we are at the other side, got it dialed in at the exact same rate. Alrighty guys, well I did adjust the rear and the front totally off camera. I just locked in and got it done. It's where I want it. I'm gonna let it settle for a little bit, and yeah, this is what it looks like. Alrighty guys, this is gonna wrap it up for this video. This took absolutely forever to make, just by our late nights measuring, obviously waiting for parts. That was really irritating, but I really appreciate you guys sticking around.
And I do have a YouTube short series going through this entire braking system. What we still have to do is powder coat the calipers. I have a color picked out. Go ahead and guess what you think that color would be in the comments. If you get it right, I'll shout you out. Maybe I'll even follow you on Instagram. But anyway, again, I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Tell me what you think about fitment, color of the wheels, everything I'm doing, and it's gonna be it. So I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.